I never imagined my usual Thursday lunch at Daisy's Diner, a cozy little spot I've been hitting up twice a week for 3 years, would turn into a spectacle that landed on the evening news. All I wanted was a burger and some peace, but the moment I stepped through those glass doors with my red MAGA hat slapped on, the air shifted. It wasn't intentional. I'd just grabbed the hat on my way out, barely thinking about it. But to one woman, it was like I'd walked in while VUI-ing a battle flag. I settled into my favorite corner booth, the one with the cracked VUI-NYL seat that always felt like home, and gave my order to Jenny, my regular waitress. The diner hummed with the usual lunchtime chatter, forks clinking, ice rattling in glasses, and soft country tunes drifting from the jukebox. Then came the screech of chair legs against tile. A woman, mid-40s, with a sleek brunette bob and oversized sunglasses perched on her head, shot up from her table by the window. Her face was flushing a furious shade of crimson as she jabbed a manicured finger in my direction. "That hat is disgusting," she bellowed, her voice slicing through the diner like a knife. "You're inciting hate in this restaurant." The place went dead silent. Forks froze midair. 30 pairs of eyes ping-ponged between me and this stranger, who I'd later learn was named Linda. I vaguely recognized her type, someone who'd demand to speak to the manager over a lukewarm latte. Earlier, I'd seen her berating the teenage hostess, Sophie, for not snagging her a window seat during the lunch rush, despite showing up without a reservation. Sophie had stammered that the tables were booked for an hour, but Linda had steamrolled her, insisting on a manager. She'd settled for a regular table, but you could tell she was itching for a fight. And now I was her target. Im no fidabran. I crunch numbers for a leave VYing spreadsheets, and tax codes are my world, not public showdowns. "Ma'am," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I'm just here to eat. I'm not trying to upset anyone." But Linda wasn't VYing it. She stormed over, her designer purse swinging like a pendulum, her finger now inches from my face. "Take that VY little hat off, or get out," she snapped, her voice climbing to a pitch that made the kids at the next table flinch. "You don't get to spread hate while people are trying to have lunch." The other diners watched, some with wide-eyed fascination, others with that awkward cringe you get when a scene's about to explode. I took a deep breath, knowing arguing would only pour gas on the fire. "I get that you don't like my hat," I said, "but I've got every right to wear it. I'm just trying to eat. Same as you." That only made her madder. She spun around, scanning the room like she expected a mob to rally behind her. When nobody budged, her eyes narrowed to slits. "That hat's a symbol of everything wrong with this country," she spat. "You're a danger to this community." By now, a few folks had their phones out, sensing this was about to go viral. Linda, undeterred, kept ranting. "I know the owner," she claimed, though I doubted she'd ever met him. "I'll have this place shut down for letting people like you in." Jenny, who I knew was VYing up for nursing school, stepped in with a nervous smile. "Ma'am, please go back to your table. You're disturbing everyone." Linda whirled on her, thrilled to have a new punching bag. "You're defending Saw him Saw? I want your manager Saw now Saw." Jenny held her cool and promised to get the manager, but Linda didn't sit down. Instead, she yanked out her phone and started filming, panning across the diner like she was directing a documentary. "Look at this place," she narrated. "They let hateful people sit here and threaten others." I hadn't threatened a soul, and the absurdity almost made me laugh, except it was starting to feel unhinged. A family with 2 kids quietly asked for their check, their faces tight with unease. Then Mike, the manager, came out from the back, wiping his hands on a dish towel. I chatted with him plenty over the years, a solid guy who treated everyone fair. "Ma'am," he said, calm but firm, "I need you to lower your voice and stop recording. It's against our policy to film customers without consent." Linda turned her phone on him, narrating like she was live on the news. "The manager's trying to silence me for standing up to hate. This is America, and I have freedom of speech." Things went from bad to worse. As Mike explained that free speech didn't mean disrupting a private business, Linda's temper hit a breaking point. She spun back to my table and, with a deliberate swipe, knocked my full glass of water across the surface. Ice cubes skittered everywhere, and cold water soaked my lap. Oops, she said with a smirk that vanished when she noticed how many phones were now pointed at her. The diner erupted. An older guy in a flannel shirt stood up. "Lady, that was way out of line. This guy's done nothing to you." Another woman piped up. "I don't care what anyone's wearing, you don't get to attack people." Linda's face went from red to purple as she realized the crowd wasn't on her side. "You're all brainwashed," she shrieked. "Don't you see what's happening to our country? My cat had enough. Ma'am, you need to leave. You've disrupted our business and assaulted a customer." Linda's jaw dropped. Salut, Sal." I barely touched his water. Saw he saw the problem. Mike shook his head. "I'm calling the police if you don't go saw now, saw." Linda smirked, crossing her arms. "Good. Call them. They'll deal with saw him saw." She pointed at me, certain she was about to win. 10 minutes later, 2 cops walked in. Linda was still hovering by my table, refusing to sit or leave, her voice a non-stop tirade. The officers took one look at the scene, her flushed face, the scattered ice cubes. The uneasy diners and their expressions said they'd seen this before. Several customers handed over their VY Deos, and the cops watched them right there. I stayed in my booth, still stunned that my lunch had turned into a circus. "Ma'am, step outside with us," one officer said to Linda. Her triumphant smile faltered. "Are you arresting Saw Him Saw?" she demanded, pointing at me again. The cop shook his head. "No, ma'am. We need to talk to you about disturbing the peace and harassment." Linda's mouth fell open. "Saw me saw? I'm protecting people. That hat's a symbol of violence." The second officer sighed. "Your VYUs don't give you the right to harass customers. Come with us." What happened next was straight out of MOVY. Linda crossed her arms and planted her feet. "This is discrimination. I have freedom of speech." The first cop's voice sharpened. "You've got one last chance to come voluntarily." When Linda turned away, muttering about her lawyer, the officer reached for her arm. She yanked back, nearly crashing into a table. "Don't touch me." That did it. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for disorderly conduct, harassment, and resisting an officer," the cop said, pulling out handcuffs. The diner, which had been holding its breath, broke into scattered applause as Linda was led out, still shouting that she was the VY Tim, that she was VYing society from dangerous elements. The irony was thicker than Daisy's milkshakes. Mike brought me a fresh water and a slice of apple pie on the house. 15 years running this place, he said with a wry smile, and I've never seen anything like that. Other diners stopped by my table, offering support. "Doesn't matter what you believe," said an older woman in a lavender cardigan. "Nobody should be treated like that over a hat." By evening, the VY Deos had blown up online, racking up VYUs across social media, and even snagging a spot on the local news. Comments were a mixed bag, but most agreed, nobody gets to play VY Gilani over someone's lunch. 3 days later, a reporter called. Linda had been identified a real estate agent at a fancy firm, now on administrative leave. The DA wasn't messing around, charging her with disorderly conduct, harassment, and resisting arrest, backed by clear VY Deo and witness statements. At her arraignment, she was hit with a due $2,000 fine, 40 hours of community care VYC, and 6 months probation. When the judge read the sentence, Linda's polished facade shattered. "This is outrageous," she screamed, nearly earning a contempt charge as her face crumpled. "All I wanted was a quiet lunch. Instead, I got a front row seat to a lesson in consequences and a VY Rao story that's still sparking debate about where free speech ends and harassment begins."